along the Canadian-U.S. border in New York State. This at the Rainbow Bridge, which essentially connects Niagara Falls, New York to Niagara Falls, Ontario. This is a very heavily trafficked area, especially at a time like this, a holiday time like this. Now, I am from the Western New York area, born and raised. I crossed that bridge dozens of times. In fact, I have something called a Nexus Pass, which allows you to get through the border even faster. And you would specifically take this bridge that we're going to be showing you a live look from right now. This is a live look at the Rainbow Bridge, which has been closed due to the vehicle explosion. All four bridges that connect New York State, at least in Western New York, to Canada have been closed. On average, more than 3 million vehicles cross these bridges every single year, just this bridge, excuse me, every single year. Those bridges in total eclipse close to 12 million, if not more, just to show you how important these are for commerce between both Canada and the US. And in addition to that, how important they are for people to be able to get home at a time like this. In fact, when I was a reporter in Buffalo, one of my photographers lived in Canada and worked in Buffalo. He would cross the border every single day, just to show you how easy and how needed these bridges are in the Western New York area. Now, what we know right now is some fairly limited information. I'm going to be trying to break this down for you as much as possible. The explosion happened on the United States side when you cross the piece, or the Rainbow Bridge, excuse me, heading from Canada into the United States. So essentially the car that exploded was heading from Canada into the United States. We have seen different photos and different videos here of specifically where this could have been. And we have a pretty good idea at the moment right now. So I'm going to pull up this map here as we see more and more cars are coming in and out. So I'll show you exactly what we're talking about here and where we believe that this took place according to videos and photos that we've seen thus far. So this is an aerial view of the Rainbow Bridge. Okay, so you see this building right here that I'm highlighting, right? So essentially what happens, you cross the Rainbow Bridge. We see where these cars are. It's really not letting me use the cursor. Right here, okay, see there? That's where the cars typically will cross through, heading from Canada again into the United States. There's the general area where you're seeing all those cars kind of filter in through. There's about 9 lanes, and then they funnel into basically 1 or 2 onto Niagara Street. Now, what it seems happened is the area that it took place was around these buildings right here. And typically that spot, once you give your passport, you talk to a customs agent, if they have more questions for you, if they feel that they need to examine your car further, they will pull you to the side. And the location that we've seen from photos and videos of this is toward one of those structures. It's not necessarily in the main area. It is toward one of those structures. Now, the FBI is involved in this as well, including, in addition to Niagara Falls Police Department and New York State Police as well. Let me see if I can pull this really quickly here. Yep, so this is from the FBI. So the FBI in Buffalo releasing this statement saying, quote, the FBI field office is investigating a vehicle explosion at the Rainbow Bridge, a border crossing between the United States and Canada in Niagara Falls. The FBI is coordinating with our local, state, and federal law enforcement partners in this investigation. As this situation is very fluid, that is all we can say at this time. I bring you back out live to the scene as we await for updates on this. What you are looking at right now is from Niagara Street, heading toward where the border is. Now, if you were to be driving on this street and heading toward the border, you would be heading from the United States into Canada. This comes at a time, I cannot stress enough, when these bridges are packed, absolutely packed. So what you would see here is traffic essentially backed up as people wait to go through the border, to go through security, to make their way into Canada. You've heard it on our air. You've heard it for years. Today is widely considered to be the busiest travel day of the year. And while, yes, Thanksgiving is an American holiday, the United States and Canada and these portions of the country are incredibly closely linked. In fact, many people vacation in Canada. Many people potentially spend their Thanksgiving in Canada. These border crossings on a day like today would be frequented quite a lot, whether that's commercial vehicles or whether that's just people going about their day. The Rainbow Bridge has been closed. In addition to that, all 4 bridges that connect this portion of New York, Western New York, to Canada, shut off as well. So nobody in, nobody out in these spots. That is out of an abundance of caution, according to the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada, has been briefed on this situation. Kathy Hochul, Governor of New York, also briefed on this situation. She has released a statement saying that she'll be heading toward Buffalo and New York State, very far apart. New York City, excuse me. New York City and Albany is predominantly where the governor spends her time. However, she was born and raised in the Buffalo area, so she announced that she will be heading toward Western New York, toward this scene. Now, I'm waiting to get confirmation and to see if we can actually use some of the photos that I have been seeing, because there are some that have been released, and as soon as we get those confirmed, we'll be able to show you what this looks like and what this has looked like over the past couple of hours. The information coming out of this has been limited due to the fact that for a large portion of this, we haven't been able to see much. There's cameras, live cameras, that you can use to see how long your delay would be if you are taking the bridge. Now, this is the last one that's up right now. So this one here, this is heading toward Canada. This is essentially just a little higher up from where we are right now, and shows you all of the emergency vehicles. Now, typically on the website here, you'd be able to look at and access more cameras. As you can see, they have taken those down, I think quite obviously, due to the current investigation that's been ongoing. I want to pull this up right now as we see more cars and emergency vehicles coming in and out of the area. I'm going to try and pull up a couple of more things here. All right, so CBS has updated a little bit more information. I'll read this off to you. A lot of this very new for me as well. We had told you that the FBI was investigating and saying that this was a fluid situation. The governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, releasing a statement saying that at her direction, the New York State Police is actively working with the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force to monitor all points of entry to New York. She added that she's on her way to Buffalo to meet with law enforcement and emergency responders. City of Niagara Falls said the incident involving a vehicle entering into the U.S., that according to the CBS affiliate based in Buffalo. You are seeing Niagara Falls Police. You are seeing federal officials in the FBI. Earlier, we saw some tactical vehicles heading in toward the area. Seems to be another shot here that we might be able to get our hands on. All right, so there's potentially a press conference from Canada, okay, from Canadian officials potentially. As I had mentioned, you know, so this border crossing, while this border crossing and while this incident happened, Live 5, okay, happened on the United States side. Obviously, Canada is very much so affected. We're going to try and bring you this press conference update as soon as it drops into my system here. And then, of course, we'll be able to provide you the latest as Canadian officials are working with United States officials on this. I'm seeing it now pulling up. This is Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada.
Et par le ministre de la Sécurité publique, on est en train
We're trying to gather all the information. We're providing support. We're talking to the Americans. I can confirm that the border has been closed down at the Queenstown, Peace, Rainbow, and another bridge. Additional security measures are being brought to all border crossings all across the country. It's a very serious situation, but we will remain engaged for the entire day.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, we've just heard media reports of a terrorist attack and explosion at the Niagara crossing of the Canada-U.S. border. At least two people are dead. One is injured. It is the principal responsibility of government to protect the people.
Essentially a ghost town on the bridge of people trying to get in and out of the U.S.
All right, so we're going to take a live report from one of the reporters on the scene. Now, you heard from, this has been really jumbled, I do apologize, but we don't have control necessarily of the sources that they're using. You heard Prime Minister Trudeau, and then you heard another member of the cabinet say that they I have heard that this was a confirmed terrorist attack. We are still waiting for that confirmation.
Yet on if there will be any official word or press conference, but we can possibly expect to hear from her after she's been briefed about the situation. But that is what we are understanding, that she is currently on her way to this area. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so we now have two looks at all of this. Okay, and CNN just keeps loving to take things down here. All right, so we lost that shot there from that reporter. I'm still working to find more information here. Again, we're getting multiple reports in. I'm trying to get some more information here. Now, all right, so that shot's now back up, so we have two looks at this here. Seeing reports of two people, but let me just double check this.
Do you have seen video that Bronco shot from earlier or not? Do you guys know? Can I toss to that before the eyewitness, or what are you airing, or? Do we have any scene video that they're using, or are they just going to use us? Yeah, I was trying to ask, are you guys using any scene video or not? From what we sent back earlier. Okay, got it. Thank you.
So I want to show you this here. This is a photo courtesy of Essential Filmworks. They are showing the damage that was done from this. Now I showed, for those that are just joining us here, we've been concentrating on this building right here. I want to zoom in so you can see exactly the area that we're talking about where this explosion happened. Let's zoom in a little bit more here. Come on, come on. There we go. Okay, so you're seeing right there in the middle of your screen. Okay, so on the left-hand side, that is the entry point where those stakes are, essentially between lanes. That is where Border Patrol agents grab your passport. They ask you what your business was in Canada, what your business will be in the United States. They ask you different questions associated with that, and then they either let you go or they move you to the left or the right-hand side, excuse me, for further screening. Now it seems like you can see there's those 4 different buildings that kind of jut across here, okay? That second one from the back has the most of those scorch marks, and then there's a building on the bottom portion of that as well. That is typically where additional screening is done. Again, this photo coming to us courtesy of One Niagara Welcome Center at the, or from Essential Filmworks, excuse me. Still waiting to get some more information here on this. For those that are just joining us, want to re-rack the information that we have been relaying to you here. We have confirmed a vehicle explosion at the Rainbow Bridge in New York State, which connects the United States to Canada for portions of Western New York. All 4 international bridges that connect Canada to New York in the Western New York region have been shut down as a result of this. We're seeing, confirming, or we're seeing and trying to confirm more reports about precisely what exactly happened here. What we do know for a fact is that this happened on the United States side as cars were passing from Canada into the United States. The FBI is now investigating. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau from Canada, he has been briefed on this situation and just spoke on the Parliament floor in Canada and spoke about the fact that they have been trying to gather more information. One member of the Parliament there, following Prime Minister Trudeau's speech, said something to the effect of that this was a confirmed terrorist attack. Now, that's according to Canadian officials, so we are going to wait to hear more from additional sources on that. However, that is according to the Parliament members in Canada who would have received that information. Rainbow Bridge, Peace Bridge, Lewiston Queenston Bridge, Whirlpool Bridge, all of those have been closed as a result of this explosion that took place. Now again, trying to learn more about precisely what happened here. All right, so according to CBS News here, two people, they have sources that have told them that two people inside of the vehicle at the time that it exploded, again at the Rainbow Bridge. They are reporting, not reporting identities or motive at this time, but the early indications are, again, according to CBS News and what I am seeing here, that they are saying that this was a deliberate act, early indications of that. Now again, where this would have been done, where all of this would have taken place, is right at the point where you just get past security for the bridge. So I'm going to pull up the map again here. So you see where this dot is, right? So if you follow along from left to right, that is Canada. You would cross into Canada. You need to do nothing when you leave Canada. Everything you need to do is when you enter into the United States. So what would have happened is the car would have crossed over the Rainbow Bridge and then gone to Customs and Border Protection. From there, you enter a queue of cars, you get in line, and you wait your turn. The cars are usually spaced out about 10 feet, 20 feet between each other. As soon as the car in front of you leaves, you're able to drive up, you hand your passport over to the Border Protection agent, they type in your passport, they ask for what business, whether that was in Canada or the United States, they ask if you have anything to declare, they ask a couple other questions as well, usually just to see how you respond to them, and then you're either free to go. You can see where you would just continue on to Niagara, or you get pulled over for secondary screening. Now, during secondary screening, they essentially can check whatever they want. They can pull you out of your car. They can search your entire car. I have a friend who has had that happen to him despite nothing being wrong. That's just simply what they did. All right, so we're going to get some new video coming in here as well pretty soon, just to give you a look at exactly what it was like on the ground.
The headline from CBS is
All right, so I want to correct my earlier statement there. CBS, the official statement that they have in there is 2 people dead in car crash at border. Give me 1 second here as I pull some video into our system so you can take a look at what exactly happened.
Authorities, except for that statement that did come out from the FBI office in Buffalo that did talk about a vehicle explosion that was being investigated. And again, they are the ones that use that phrase that this is a fluid situation and that things could change rapidly. Well, that was, excuse me, buddy, that was Buffalo City Hall.
All right, let's show you some video right now from the scene. This is on the ground. Okay, yep, okay, so I know exactly where this is here. So where that is, so you can see the building that's angled out there is where the secondary checks are typically done. Those booths that you see on the left-hand side, that is the point in which you would be primary screened. Okay, so then you can see that building right there. You see that one that's kind of smoking. That is another secondary checkpoint. Once you go through, you would exit through those gates and then be allowed into the United States. But all of that is done to prevent somebody potentially from entering into the U.S. who is looking to do harm in this situation. You're seeing fire crews trying to help with the blaze there. You saw that police car right there. That's Border Protection. That is not Niagara Falls Police or New York State Police. Now, again, to remind people, when you go through border screening, it's not done in the country that you are originating from. It is done from to the country that you are trying to get into. So you would cross the bridge, and then Border Protection would take over, and they would examine your passport, and again, potentially could examine your car, things like that. Now, not every time that your car is looked at are you involved in something nefarious. Sometimes it's random. Sometimes it's a situation where they believe that there could be a problem and there's not. And then sometimes there is a problem. Sometimes there is an issue. I'm going to show you this video again here from the scene as I continue to just source and look for more info here. And again, for those that are just joining us here, an explosion on the New York/United States side of the Rainbow Bridge in Niagara Falls, New York. This explosion happening at security checkpoints from the entry point of those bridges. Congressman Brian Higgins from New York, from this district, said, "We are following the situation related to the Rainbow Bridge closely. Our office is in touch with local, state, and federal leaders and departments. We are assisting with any further requests for coordination and resources." In addition to that, Governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, is arriving on scene shortly. She is from the area. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of Canada also has been briefed on this. Erie County Sheriffs, that is the county in which Buffalo is. Niagara Falls is in Niagara County. However, they have a larger sheriff's department and a larger emergency response department. They are responding right now to the vehicle explosion. Seeing bomb squad has arrived on scene as well. Now, we just lost our primary shot of the scene there. Our secondary shot is only of the ground, so I'm hoping we could potentially get another one here as I try and pull up even more to show you. But again, the 4 border crossings are currently closed. I'll pull up the map to show you exactly what we're talking about again. This building right here that's highlighted, that right there, that is where the explosion took place. You can see it from the ground in this photo here. Google Maps is a little difficult to work with because quite obviously they don't allow cameras to be checking each checkpoint. Now, I've actually walked across this bridge before. You are allowed to walk across this bridge. It is a pretty long bridge, but not necessarily super steep, but it is always very, very packed and very popular due to its proximity to Niagara Falls, both Ontario and New York, an incredibly popular and incredibly famous tourist attraction for both countries. There is typically more action on the Canadian side because you can see the falls face on. You can look at them. From the American side, you can be along Niagara Falls at that point, but people typically will go in the Niagara Falls area and go on a boat, different things like that, trying to get as close to the falls as humanly possible. Now, that tourist attraction and that efforts means the bridge typically is working nonstop. I mean, they are absolutely flying, trying to get people in and out, but they still do their jobs. They still are asking the specific questions that are needed. What is your purpose of stay? How long will you be staying? General questions like that. But again, what happens is there's primary screening. There can also be a secondary screening associated with it. When I was working in Buffalo, New York as a reporter, one of my close friends that I'm still friends with today, his wife was a Border Protection agent, and she told me dozens of stories about incredibly unique and borderline insane stories of situations at the border. People trying to get in, people trying to get out. So you never specifically know what's going to happen here. Again, CBS News reporting 2 people in the car at the time. They call it a vehicle explosion. Have not necessarily expanded upon that point at all. We have been trying to keep on top of all of the news that's been coming in, go through what's accurate, what's not. There's a lot that's been happening here. I've been trying to keep up with as well the live photos that they've been releasing, but those have essentially stopped. Let's see what this is here. Okay, CNN now reporting that the 2 people that were in the vehicle that exploded are dead. All right, Jeff Slauson still here from 19 News Now at the 19 News Digital Desk. We continue to follow our breaking news here. I wish I could show you some live photos and live pictures from the scene right now as we continue to learn more. Oh, there we go. It just came back up. So you are looking now, again, live. This is from the United States on Niagara Street, heading toward the border. So if you were looking to go to Niagara Falls in the United States and then go to see Niagara Falls, Ontario in Canada, this is the bridge that you would cross. You would head from a main strip in Niagara Falls across the border. You would go through border protection, you would see the falls, then you would turn around, head back into the United States, you would cross the Rainbow Bridge, and then you would hit a security checkpoint. That is where this explosion happened, at that security checkpoint here, and that is where these videos take us. So you're seeing what happened, or at least the aftermath of what happened. You're seeing smoke pouring from a secondary screening building on the right-hand side. I want to remind everybody here how important and how widely trafficked this area is, in particular on a day like today. All of the bridges in Western New York heading from the United States to Canada and vice versa have been closed right now. I remember when COVID-19, when the pandemic just started, they had closed the bridges, so many people couldn't visit their family members, but more importantly for a lot of people, it was the money that was not coming in and out. When I tell you it's millions of dollars, I mean millions of dollars crosses that bridge every single day, bringing goods, bringing commerce into the areas. That has been shut down. In addition to that, this is considered widely to be the largest travel day of the year. Buffalo Niagara International Airport saying they are continuing to allow flights. Now that airport's about 30 or 40 minutes away from Niagara Falls, but they are still allowing flights. But any bridge into Canada, any bridge out of Canada, at least to head into Western New York, has been closed. Not allowing people going in or out. You're seeing heavily armed officers right there. For those that remember a little bit ago, the FBI is involved in this as well. Let me see if I can find their statement here. Yeah, here we go. All right, I'll pull up the statement from the FBI on this. This is what the FBI had said. This is about 1:17 p.m. The FBI Buffalo field office is investigating a vehicle explosion at the Rainbow Bridge, a border crossing between the United States and Canada and Niagara Falls. The FBI is coordinating with our local, state, and federal law enforcement partners in this investigation, as this situation is very fluid. That is all they can say at this time. We have now confirmed 2 individuals in a vehicle at the time of the explosion have died. According to CBS and CNN, both confirming that. That is double confirmation for us. We also have been able to see, according to Essential Filmworks on Twitter, this photo of the explosion, where you can see pretty clearly which building it's centered around. Now, it's that small shack-looking like building on the bottom right-hand side of that photo. That is where we are predominantly seeing most of the action here, and then the smoke and the destruction hitting the upper side, or the underside, excuse me, of that building right there. But all of this area, that entire area that you're seeing right there, that is all border protection. That is all screening and security, preventing people from going in and out, and ultimately trying to make sure that nothing nefarious goes on at the border. Cross this border dozens of times. The security screening is very typical, but it can differ. They'll ask you different questions. They'll try and gauge if you're nervous, what you potentially are hiding. They ask if you're bringing anything into the country that you need to declare, just general things like that. If they believe that you are either not being truthful or that there is something further they need to look at, they will take you from where you can see those lanes on the left-hand side that are covered by you can see like the guardrail. They will take you from there. They will say you need to move over to the left-hand side, and you drive over to the left-hand side, and now they have the ability to check whatever they want. They can keep you for as long as they deem necessary. I'm not sure of the exact time frame, but it can be quite a bit of time. It could be quite a long time here. I have friends who have had their cars pulled over for secondary screening just based off of luck of the draw. They need to look at something. They're going to take a look at your car. Nothing's found. Great. They move on. But it could take some time. And that Border Protection Agency, those officers take their jobs incredibly serious. As we continue to show you live videos right now of the scene at the Rainbow Bridge, again in Niagara Falls, New York, one of the main bridges connecting the United States to Canada in the Western New York region. You were seeing an armored truck. You were seeing different officers holding rifles. We are continuing to hope to learn some more information on this. Specifically, again, what we know at least thus far, 2 people involved in this. Being handed something right now from my colleague, Dan DeRose. Okay, so we have 2 occupants of the car, yep. As I just explained there, according to CNN, that car exploding just a few hours ago here at the Rainbow Bridge. We have confirmed now that both of them are dead. This happened around 12 o'clock, a little bit after that. That car was crossing from Canada into the United States. Again, where that checkpoint happens is not in Canada. In order to enter the United States, that checkpoint happens in the United States. It is U.S. border officials that handle that. If you were to be going into Canada, you would cross into Canada. So technically, you're in the U.S., and then you get checked. You can always be turned around at that point as well. So they went through the initial checkpoint where they examined passports and licenses, and then now we're getting this confirmed. Okay, great. So according to multiple law enforcement officials, they were examined in that first primary security checkpoint. Following that, it was determined for some reason that they were needed to be moved into the secondary checkpoint. So they were moved to that secondary checkpoint, and that is when the explosion took place. Again, according to authorities, the car was heading toward the secondary search area when the explosion took place. It does not seem like they got to that secondary checkpoint or stopped at that secondary checkpoint. It seems like the explosion happened. Authorities say they do not know what caused it at this time as well. The FBI, New York State Police, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, all on scene. Federal authorities trying to retrieve video from a number of different angles. I know for a fact there is a live camera that points near this area that has now been pulled down. There will be video of it from there as well. Potentially we'll get our hands on that, as well as that is a public service there. But they're trying to get a number of different angles and statements from witnesses. So far, no injuries reported to those who were not in the car. The FBI calling this situation very fluid. Let me see here. So earlier in the day, the NTSB, which is or the Niagara International Transportation Technology Coalition, which reported that the bridge was closed on both sides due to a crash. The vehicle was trying to enter the U.S. That was initially the report, and then ultimately we got to this point here. This is just one of 4 entryways that have been closed off up to this point. All of them closed due to this crash out of an abundance of caution. We heard a little bit earlier here, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of Canada speaking in the Parliament floor, I'm going to guess in Ottawa. He was speaking earlier today with members of Parliament about what they know, what they don't know. You may have heard in our discussions there, and from them, you heard one of the members of Parliament say something to the effect of a terrorist attack. We have not confirmed that. You're going to hear that report potentially. We have not confirmed that here at 19 News. Once we get multiple confirmations, then potentially we could go for it. But we do not know that information as of right now. I have a video here from CBS that I want to play. So right now, let me show you this first. This is video from the scene. And then I'll show you this video from CBS News. All right, so I'm gonna take you from this video to this one here, just tweeted out or posted from CBS on Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter. Just to take a look at the scene there, it seems very similar to the video that we have in-house. But one thing I wanna take your attention to is that smaller building right there. So, let me see if I can pause this thing. Yeah, I can, okay. Okay, so you see this building right here? So that building right there is one of the areas for the secondary checkpoint. According to CNN's reports, the car that exploded did not necessarily stop there. It didn't necessarily get to the ultimate point of the secondary checkpoint. It exploded en route to that secondary spot. I can see one of the cameras getting ready here, potentially to have a report from one of the reporters on the scene. This is a reporter for WKBW, actually my former station, based in Buffalo, New York. Let's take a listen.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yep. All right, so her microphone's up. So we're going to kind of tag along here and see what updates she provides. I believe that is Kristen Morand. That is, yes, reporter for WKBW based in Buffalo, New York, and 7 News. Oh, and that just went away. CNN. So what happens here is we get these feeds into our system. We do not control necessarily where they come from or what's changing. So as soon as we're getting an update from a reporter, them pulling that down, there must have been a reason for it. All right, so we continue to follow our breaking news here. I'm going to be wrapping up this stream in about 6 minutes to let our newscast take over. For any updates, you can find all that info there. All right, so the most recent update we got from the New York State Thruway Authority was about an hour ago, where they said that the Peace Bridge is closed. Due to the closure of the Peace Bridge, exit 9 from I-90 is closed as well. So we're seeing closures all over the area. It's hard to overstate how important this is of a crossing. So I'm seeing some video right now.
Doesn't look that different, but it is definitely a different shot.
All right, Jeff Slauson's still here with you as we break this down, all of this. Now I'm seeing some videos that I'm trying to get confirmation of and also permission to use. that could give us a further clear picture of what exactly went on here.
Section 6 and 7, as long as they keep having, well, two.
All right, and we're about to have sound from a witness on the scene. It's going to be about 20 seconds long. Now, if you heard me talking earlier, the FBI is looking for cooperation between witnesses right now. Hoping to find out a little bit more. Cool. All right, yeah, let's play this now. This is a witness on the scene who saw what happened.
He was going down here fishtailing. He pulled out in front of another car, and then I think that's when because he was going so fast, he hit the fence, and there was a fire then. But then when he went up again, he must have hit the building, and then there was a big noise, and then the flame just shot up in the air, and there was nothing but smoke, then you couldn't see nothing. Yeah, I don't even know if there's anything left in the car, because we've seen car parts, and they're all little pieces. And apparently the motor went flying somewhere.
All right, so we are going to wrap up this stream here in about 3 minutes, as we, again, will let you take over on 19 News at 3 o'clock. Still learning more. What I have here is an official statement from the Niagara Falls Bridge Commission. They can confirm that a serious car crash incident has occurred within the Rainbow Bridge, excuse me. I was just reading something about the Peace Bridge traffic being backed up, which has resulted in the closure of the span to all U.S. and Canada bound traffic. The crash is currently being evaluated by local, state, provincial, and federal law enforcement officials as a precautionary measure. All international border crossings in the Buffalo-Niagara region have also been temporarily closed to traffic at this time. The NFBC, that is the Niagara Falls Bridge Commission, will continue to monitor the situation and advise the traveling public upon the reopening of the Rainbow Bridge and all other regional bridges. You are currently seeing, again, a live look right now heading from the United States toward the Rainbow Bridge, which would be your access point into Canada, specifically into Ontario. We have heard from a witness who believes he saw what happened, but again, we are still trying to learn more. CNN is reporting the 2 people that were in the car have died. That explosion happening after being moved from the primary checkpoint to the secondary checkpoint, where you would typically be able to gain access into the United States. Traffic from the Rainbow Bridge backed up. Traffic from the Peace Bridge, which is a separate bridge, also backed up. CNN now offering separate reports about potentially what happened here, about which checkpoint all of this happened in. All right, in about 30 seconds, we're going to be ending our digital coverage here. We're going to be bringing you over to 19 News at 3 o'clock. Which again is starting in about 30 seconds. Want to remind everybody that newscast goes from 3 to 6:30. Again, re-racking our breaking news here. A car accident crash incident explosion leading to 2 people dead and the closure of multiple bridges which would gain access to and from Canada. They've been closed. We are still awaiting more information, and of course, when we get those updates, we will provide them to you as soon as possible. For now, I'm Jeff Slauson with 19 News. Our coverage continues over on CBS, which starts in about 3 seconds.
19 News, now streaming on Samsung Smart TV. Search for channel 1035.